And thank you very much for joining us here on PM Express. My guest tonight is a household name in business, a household name in management. He's done it all. He's agreed to sit down for a conversation about everything Ghana. We've been running a series looking at the Ghana we have versus the Ghana we need. But just before we came into this room for this conversation, he pitched it in a way that was fascinating. And I said, let me vary it a bit. So tonight, the focus is the leadership we have versus the leadership we need. And he's going to help us, give us this portrait of that leadership that we require. My guest tonight is Dr. Ishmael Yamson. They call him simply chairman. He's an economist. Of course, he was the chairman of Unilever, Standard Chartered. If I want to go to the companies that he's been chairman of, I won't finish. So I'm delighted to have you.
Thank you very
chairman.
much. Thank you very much, Evans.
And I also realized that you're actually also Evans.
Yes, I am. My middle name is Evans.
Exactly. People don't know that. So let me repeat that because it rhymes with mine. It doesn't only rhyme, it's exactly my name. So yes. Ishmael Evans Yamson. Yeah. Grateful to have you.
Thank you very much, Evans.
Now, I wanted to start by looking at the single most important issue for most Ghanaians right now, the economy. And of course, you're an economist. What's your assessment of where we are economically right now? In the last 1 month, at least, inflation has dropped slightly below 40. We were in dangerous territory above 50. And some say, well, we're beginning to turn the corner. What's your own assessment?
Well, that's a great question. And just let me share my thoughts with you. I have seen quite a number of write-ups from the World Bank, from the IMF, from ADB, from our own statistical people, and the figures vary between 1.3 to 3.2, 3.6. But I just would like you to say that we are in a dire situation. Let me put it that way. The figures don't matter to me, because they are statistical figures. What will matter to me is growth that will come with jobs. Because what is the benefit to anybody if only the statistics show that you are growing? After all, we were growing at 5.6, 5. And the government says it all the time. And yet, by just a stroke of a pen, that growth disappeared. So we hadn't built any resilience into our economy. And that is why, with any little disruption, Ghana falls apart. And what we should be thinking about is not the figures, because figures only tell a global story. But look at the underlying factors and see whether that growth is meaningful, is useful or not. Why is it that we've been growing at 5.6%, but our unemployment rate has been growing? Why? Because they've been growing, it means the economy has been expanding, and therefore we should be creating jobs. But you have figures who say you are going to grow or you are growing, and yet many people are coming out of universities, from SHS, from technical schools. They just can't find jobs. So what is in that growth that we cannot create jobs for our youth, which has become one of the most critical issues for facing this country, youth unemployment. So for me, we are in a very difficult situation, and I want people to understand and accept the simple fact that we are not in a pleasant situation in this country. Inflation may have come from 54 to 40, but who wants 40% inflation? But 40% inflation means that prices are changing at that rate, 40%. Is that what we want? Or we want inflation at 4%, 5%, and we have had it before. So why can't we have inflation which is in the low 10s, but inflation that is above 40s? And we are celebrating that. And I thought what we would say is that we don't like this. We want to bring inflation down to what the Bank of Ghana has been aiming at for many years and never achieved.
Why do you think that is?
But where is the growth coming from? The growth is not coming from manufacturing, which creates jobs. It's not coming from agriculture. We went through how many years of planting for food and jobs. We didn't get the food, we didn't get the jobs, but the money was spent. So the growth, where the growth should come for me, agriculture, manufacturing, tourism, because it employs large numbers of people. If you go to the factories in this country right now, I can bet you 9 out of 10 are shedding numbers. So those figures that we are quoting, we must always ask, what will they mean to us, to our people? Because if poverty levels are rising, then we have a problem. So we are not focusing on those areas where jobs can be created. In the service industry, where the growth, I'm sure, is coming from, look at the banks. Look at the numbers of people that the banks were employing 5-10 years ago, and look at what they need today. Now, you go to a digital bank. Sometimes there's nobody there. There's just a computer there. You go and sit there. You can do everything you want. 10 years ago, you needed 20 people sitting in that branch to do that same job. So we need to understand where jobs are being created today.
Where would you say?
In manufacturing, in agriculture, in tourism, even in technology. For the young people, because they are in everywhere.
You mentioned, one of the areas you mentioned is agriculture.
Yes.
And you rightly mentioned this government had a policy, a flagship policy called Fund for Food and Jobs. And they put billions of cedis into it.
Yes.
Your verdict is that you haven't seen the investment hasn't produced the outcome that we expected.
Not at all.
What reasons would you ascribe to that?
Well, I wasn't involved in the policy execution, but at least I can see the results out of that. And let me give you a very simple example. I used to buy a bunch of plantain for 25 cedis. Today, the same batch I'm buying for 120. And we are in the fruit harvest season right now as we sit here. So if today I'm paying 3 times for the same bunch of plantain that I used to pay 25 cedis for, then my question is, what has happened to agriculture? Don't go very far, right? Don't go very far. Coconut. We used to buy coconut in Accra for what? 50 pesos. And we're complaining. Today it's 5 cedis. I understand that a chunk of the cost is coming from transportation. But even so, should we go from 50 pesos to 5 cedis? So something is wrong somewhere, and we are not getting it. We are not. Because if you go to the farms, when I was a student of economics at Legon, we were being told that our farmers were getting old and young people were not interested in farming, and we needed to interest young people in farming. Today, it's even worse, because once you finish school in the village, you are coming to Accra to look for a job. So who in the farm should be producing the food?
On the economy, we are the IMF now.
Yes.
What's your verdict on what you think that would produce in the long run? Of course, we hope that in the next 3 years, it will help us turn around the economy. We've got the first tranche.
Yes.
It's coming. From every indication, the second tranche should also come in. Are you confident that we can turn this around under the IMF leadership?
You know, for me, my great sadness is that a country like Ghana, with all the huge endowments, we should be running to the IMF every now and then for a bailout. We have the men, really people with the brains. We have the natural resources, and we have the capacity to manage those resources to benefit us. But for the 17th time, we have had to go to IMF to beg for how much? $3 billion. And we believe that the $3 billion will make it a wealthy country. It's a great sadness. I don't believe that an IMF program on its own is enough to turn this country around, and for that matter, any country. Why are we where we are today? And I can tell you, corruption, greed is why we are here today.
Expand on that for me.
Well, how much money did we borrow? Several billions of dollars, right? And we got to a point where those who were lending out the money said, no, we have looked at you, you can't pay us back, so we shut the door, we won't give you any more money. At that stage, the economy began to crumble, right? So we borrowed the money, and from our own corporate background, if you borrow money, you invest it, you create more value to pay the principal and the interest. We couldn't do any of those things, because otherwise, why are we in debt? So the IMF gives us $3 billion. And the $3 billion is not going into capital investment. It's going to help us to pay for some of the interest, going to help us pay the cost of government. Everyday salaries and whatever. So the $3 billion for me is just to help you, buy you time and space. So we should begin to think now and say, okay, we have $3 billion. That will give us about 2 years or 3 years breathing space. What can we do within the 2-3 years to make sure that by the end of the 2-3 years, we are on our own? We can't be on our own. And I say, I don't think that 2-3 years, if we continue the way we have been behaving, we'll be out of, in the doldrums.
And you make the point about corruption and greed being the key factors.
Oh, yeah.
How exactly?
Well, this country is not a big country. What is that GDP? What, 60-something billion? Tiny little. I mean, there are many corporates in this world with $400 billion, revenue. They are managed by sometimes 6, maximum 8 people, right? How many ministers do we have? How many deputy ministers do we have? How many regional ministers do we have? How many district? And yesterday I was at Harvest in a village, and even the assemblyman was honorable, right? We have built a high layer of administrative staff. And each one costs money, but none of them delivers value. So for as long as all we do is to borrow and consume and not borrow and invest, we are going nowhere. And I'll repeat this. We have been in search of prosperity for many years, both Ghana and Africa, because we haven't got it, that it is not surrounding yourself with lots of people that build the country. Now, I can tell you that this country, you don't need more than 30, maybe 40 ministers to run this country. And that, even for me, is too many. But we have hundreds of them, each of them with how many vehicles. So the cost of governance by the state is so huge that after you paid all those salaries and paid your interest on your debt, you don't have any money left. It's been going on for about 20 years. You go check.
So there's that drain?
That's the drain. Okay. So unless we set back, and I know, unfortunately, our politicians are so nervous about this. You don't have to have 200 people managing a country for them to be happy. Because they themselves, today, the situation we are in today, I don't think any politician is happy.
When you raise that, when this current president took over, and of course had 110 plus ministers, and the question was thrown at him. He says, wait till my 8th year, and it's not the quantity, it's the quality, it's what they deliver. And then judge what they do before you can be fair in assessing whether the 110 is fair for a country like Ghana or not. The jury, do we say the jury is still out? We are at least a year to go. Are we there yet where we can assess? You talk about value. Have we had the value from the numbers?
No, I think the jury has been there a long time ago.
Okay.
But the numbers didn't help us.
Okay.
The numbers only created more cost for this country.
What about the value that they created?
If we have created value, we shouldn't be with IMF. Because we should have been able to pay our debts and pay the interest, build all the hospitals, even if not all of them, most of them, build the roads. There are so many things that were promised. How many of them have been delivered? So we have had all these people running all over around. And if they had created value, then we should not be in the mess we are in today. But we are in. And that's why I'm saying that is history now for me. Let's take a step back as a country and ask ourselves some very fundamental questions. I always say, if you are appointed as a CEO for a country for a company that is bleeding money and be making losses for, let's say, 9-10 years, you ask yourself, what can I do to turn this business around? You look at all your cost profile, you look at your revenue profile, the things you can do better, the things you will stop doing, the things you do all those analysis before you then decide what to do. And you then say, I can build this business in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. But our leaders come to office on promises. I will do this. There was one particular president, not to be mentioned. When he went first to Parliament, I counted 1,092 promises. And I called my secretary and I said, even if this one is going to deliver even one a day, how many of them can he deliver? But I shall. We counted them all. So you come into office with all these promises. Sometimes they haven't even taken the trouble to understand how much it's going to cost them to deliver those promises. But they put them out there. Then they go into office, they have to deliver by hook or crook, and they drive the country down. So for me, Evans, I don't believe that we still have digested why, first of all, what brought us to where we are today? Mm-hmm. What should we stop doing, right? And what should we start doing? Because if we don't just understand those things, we are going nowhere. We can get all the support from anybody, we will still waste the money. Because look, how many times? 17th time. 17th time now. So we have been bailed out 17 times. I'm sure if it were a corporation, it would have been, no.
I want to drill down a bit more on the two issues you talked about, the corruption one, because there's been so much intervention in there. I remember very well under Kufuor, he coined the phrase zero tolerance for corruption.
Yes.
Almost every government comes and makes it a priority.
Yes.
Is it your estimation that we've gotten worse with corruption, we haven't improved at all, or at least we've made some gains there? What's your verdict on that?
For me, corruption, if anything, has grown. Right? I mean, we've just gone through the MPP elections. Yeah, right. And I was shocked. Not only shocked, but I was angry that people will have the audacity to say, we paid 4,000, some paid 2,000. So our leadership is for sale to the highest bidder, right? Now, when that man or woman has paid all that money to acquire the position, to go to Parliament, to become Mr. So-and-so or Madam So-and-so, where is he going to get around to pay back? And I have a clip that I have been using to show people. Somebody who himself has contested parliament, seat in parliament, admitting, and if I don't admit it, he himself offering to say that yes, we paid. My competitors paid. I didn't pay that much, but they paid, and I paid. There's no shame even about telling people that you got that position, not on merit, but only because you could raise more money or find more money or bribe your way into that office. Now, when you get there, and he actually answered the question, when I get there, whose money do you think I'm going to use? But state money. I'll make sure I get the money and I pay. So I think that we have a problem with corruption, and we have to accept it, that we have, I think CCDD or something have published a document recently about political party election funding.
Yes.
It's frightening.
It is.
It is frightening that today you have to buy the office. Now, every country in the world looks for the best leaders. I was telling you that before we came here. Singapore, when you talk about Singapore, you talk about one man. Talk about Malaysia, talk about one man. South Korea, talk about one man. So it's the leader. Until we get a leader in this country who is prepared to put Ghana first, beyond anything else, we can forget about corruption. Because, for instance, yesterday, I've been a prophet. When the leader is corrupt, everybody will be corrupt.
We've not had one yet?
Which one? We have had many of them.
I mean, one of the leaders that you did describe, that transformation.
We haven't. Well, we had.
Who thinks about the
country
first?
We had Nkrumah.
Okay.
At least I can talk about Nkrumah.
Okay.
I can talk about Atamils.
Okay.
But who else? We have had far too many bad leaders in this country.
So for you, in our history, at least from independence today, you can only pick out Nkrumah and Mills.
Yes.
Okay. The rest?
The rest? Well, I mean, Buja wasn't. He was prime minister, and he didn't last long. You know. Leman, 22 months or thereabouts. But the rest of them who stayed 19 years, 7 years, 8 years, 8 years, by the time they left office, and you see, every leader in this country, by the time he leaves office, Ghana is bankrupt. And because the leader has been very corrupt. And I'm not afraid to talk about this because it's the reality. And unless we accept as a people that helping people to buy our votes is not the way to change Ghana, it will not change this country. This country, for as long as we have leaders who have come into office indebted to people and they have to pay them back, Evans, I'm sorry. But I'm painting too bleak a picture.
No, we'll come to the positives.
Reality.
We'll come to the positives because I know you have thoughts on what that leader should be. And that is where the inspiration is. But let's count backwards. At least you've given us a sense that it's possible to have the leaders.
Yes.
You mentioned Nkrumah, you mentioned Mills. Let's count backwards. What about this current leader, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo? How has he fared?
No, but
marking him with the same scheme.
Oh, if I mark him with the same scheme, he probably will be 4 out of 10.
That's a fail.
Oh, yes. Because you see, even if you yourself as an individual, you have not dipped your hands into the state coffers, what about all your leaders, your followers, and what have you done about them? Right? My greatest disappointment was recently we had a case about a minister who had so much money in her home.
Sanitation minister.
Yes. And the president said that he hoped her integrity will be proven in the end. Why would the president even get involved in this when there are state agencies which are handling the matter? You understand? Because if you, our leader, you say you trust the person, and then you expect the people following you to go and say the person cannot be trusted. It's not possible. So I don't think that he has been able to stamp down corruption in this country. He hasn't. Because if he has, then all the scandals that come up day after day after day after day, why hasn't he taken firm action to deal with all those things and stop them? Why isn't any of his people who have been found culpable not in jail?
He says he will tell you that he needs the evidence.
Is what?
He needs evidence.
He needs evidence.
That the rule of law is kin, and so if the rule of law is kin, people are innocent to be proven otherwise.
But that's true. You are innocent until you are proven right or wrong, right? So that's true. But you also have to remember, and Nana is somebody I like very much, and I really had great confidence. Especially when he said, if it is about money, don't join my government. If you recall.
Yes, one of the first things he said
Precisely.
when he got elected, yes.
So what happened?
What do you think happened?
But what happened? Why all this loot? And why hasn't he taken firm action? And I'm sorry to say this but I have to, because you see, unless we confront this issue, he has 1 year to go. And he can salvage his image. I'm not saying this. If you go to the street and you ask anybody, that's the feedback you will get. So even if it is not true, and let us give him the benefit of the doubt, that everything else is just speculation. Let us see it, that your people have stopped all the looting, and those who have been found to have looted, you have made sure that they are dealt with by the law. By the law. So we have to be a law-abiding country. We can't just say because somebody put it in the media that he has done this, you go arrest the person and beat him up. No. But so allow the system then to take its due process. But when there are interferences that people can not do their work properly, right? Recently there was a case that the Attorney General went and got involved in, and I said, but why are you getting involved in it at this stage? All I'm saying is very simple. I've been in this country for a long time. And I've dealt with politicians over many years and a long time. And I believe that there is a chance for our future politicians and leaders to act differently. Because you see, and I call this political party capture. When you come to, and one of the political aspirants actually said so when he was asked, why are you seeking the flag bearership? He said, to set my party.
So that will be Dr. Okutufri.
Exactly.
He was on my show.
On your show.
When I asked that question.
And I said, what? You want to become president to serve your political party? Why? Then why don't you become the chairman of that party? Why do you want to seek the highest office in the land only to serve your political party? I hope he didn't mean that. But if he meant that, then we are in trouble. So my point is, and I don't want us to beg the question. If we don't confront corruption in this country and in other countries in Africa, I read stories about Nigeria yesterday, and I mean, South Africa is no different. So I keep asking the question, why is it so in literally every African country, except maybe one or two?
Yeah.
Why?
And just before we go for the break, you said the current president has 1 more year.
Yes.
What do you expect him to do in the next year to root out corruption, or at least to leave a legacy that he did something about this?
Right now, this economy is on its knees, right? We know why we are where we are. We have had appointees who have done nothing. I will expect him to slim his government, to save cost, even if for 6 months, because it will save this country. a lot of money. Because you see, you cannot pour water into a basket. The water will just, as you put it in, it will be drained onto the floor. And that's why your 3 billion from IMF for me is nothing. What Ghana needs is not 3 billion. We need far more than 3 billion. So I would like to see him, if he can, to demonstrate that he can run a lean, efficient, and effective government. One of the things that is also bothering this country is inefficient bureaucracy. But that has come from the political leadership into the bureaucracy. Because the chief director, the CEO of this, blah, blah, were all appointed by who?
By the president.
Precisely. So why should they behave differently?
And if I'm not mistaken, you were part of the Presidential Economic Advisory
Under President Mills.
Under
yes.
President Mills.
Yeah, I also served in the Kufuor's.
So when you're that close to power,
yeah.
what do you think happens when leaders sometimes come with so much promise?
Yes.
And then somehow,
yes.
from what you're just explaining, the promise does not meet the reality.
Yeah.
What happens?
I think that literally all of them are captured by the people around them.
Okay.
And they lack the political strength and the political will to say no when they should say no. You see? Look, if you are managing a company, and I say managing a company is not different from managing a country. I appreciate that the scale is different, but the principles are the same. No must be no. Okay. Because if you, the leader, if you can't stop encouraging people to do deals with you, I have heard on television a home minister saying the president has to agree with it, every major agreement. That's fine. So what due diligence does our presidents do? Because every time a new government comes, they are accusing the preceding government of having signed bad agreements. But your people were in parliament. They approved that agreement. And then only for the government to leave office and you come and say, oh, by the way, this agreement was tainted with corruption. You were there. You saw it. You didn't shout. You didn't scream. You approved it. Why are you not telling me that it's tainted with corruption? You have been part of it already. And our parliamentarians have sat down there, approved bad agreements upon bad agreements upon bad agreements. Then they come back and criticize their colleagues. And I say, what benefit is it for us? And now we are increasing the annulments too. Here we have to create some more constituencies.
There's one that the EC wants to create.
God have mercy on Ghana.
I'm taking a quick break. When I return, we've talked a lot about the leadership we have, but what about the leadership we need? Looking at the situation we should be aspiring towards. I'll pick Dr. Evans Yamson's thoughts. I deliberately left out Ishmael there just for selfish reasons, as you may have noticed already. Stay with us.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see S-I-N-T-E-X. Syntax.
That is so true, my daughter.
When it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey! Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntex is the answer. Syntex tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
About 1/3 of a million people live with HIV in Ghana. Close to 10,000 of them die each year, mostly as a result of a lack of antiretroviral drugs and adherence. In fact, close to 57% of children under 14 years living with HIV do not receive antiretroviral drugs, again as a result of inadequate funds to provide them with medication.
Life expectancy for these children is grim. The big worry, close to 16,300 people are newly infected with HIV each year. With this alarming rate of HIV infections, all of us are in danger, and Ghana is headed for an epidemic explosion if nothing is done now to avert it. While the Ghana AIDS Commission is working hard to overturn the situation, the Commission urgently needs funding support from corporate Ghana and individuals to save lives. We're therefore appealing to you, corporate entities and individuals, to support the National HIV and AIDS Fund by dialing star 9898 hash on MTN and Vodafone and follow the prompts, or pay into the National HIV and AIDS Fund account number 101-863-161-3233 Bank of Ghana. Your donation will be used to prevent new infections and provide care for people living with HIV, including children affected by AIDS. For further information, please call Ghana AIDS Commission on 0302 919260 or email info@ghanaids.gov.gh. Give to save a life today. Ghana AIDS Commission, partnering to eliminate HIV and AIDS.
Every day, people have money emergencies.
Mom, I need my school fees.
Emergency.
Mommy, chop
money emergency. Emergency. Catch it. I'm your rent. Emergency. Now, there's a new emergency number in town.
More money, challenge and enjoyment. At the top life we got.
Dial star 770 hash for all your money emergencies and chop life.
Dial star 770 hash for money emergencies and get easy and quick access to your money, loans, and other banking needs. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Smooth, refreshing, and made with real apples. Hunter's Refreshing Apple Cider. Drink responsibly. Not for sale to persons under 18 and recommended to pregnant women. This advert is FDA approved.
Thinking of investing in real estate? Then look no further. BOA is a well-recognized institution that would give you litigation-free properties. We have well-furnished and unfurnished 4 to 8 bedroom houses, luxurious homes, comfortable mansions, and litigation-free lands across the country. From Tema, East Legon, Medina, West Hillsmore, Accra, and other locations, we are definitely your best to go to. For more information, kindly contact BOA Unique Homes on 0506-859-513 or 0506-859-527 or follow us on our social media handles on Instagram at BOA_homes or YouTube BOA Homes. BOA Unique Homes. We build, we buy.
Starting this October 20th to 11th of November, the African Football League, who is going to be crowned Africa's Champion of Champions and take the lion's share of the 14.4 million prize money. Catch all the games streaming at www.AFL Africa and on FIFA Plus. The African Football League, our game, our home. Now let's shine together.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow. It has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see S-I-N-T-E-X. Syntax.
That is so true, my daughter.
When it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey! Syntax was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntax again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntax gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntax is the answer. Syntax tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
Can he tee up someone in red? And it goes to one!
Do not say! That's who goal is for. I got 5 Champions League. You want to know? I be the real goat. Chairman. I be the real goat. The left magician. Who is the goat? Ghana Jollof or Nigerian Jollof?
Ghana Jollof has no co-equal. The smell alone. Oh my God.
No, that shift. You two they lie. Eh? Now the same stew when they use cook the rice and then they go put them for top.
Hey, you are lying. Ghana Jollof.
Are you busy? Forget everybody. Yeah. My guy. Put your papa in the jar. Put some respect on the goat. On the goat. The only goat I know lives in Tama. Every year we dey give to you back to back. We are talking about BET. I want some Yaji face. Except be the goat. Ah, my guy. Him be the goat.
Though our choice of goats may differ in football, music, and jollof, Alomo Bitters always brings us together. Alomo, experience greatness in every moment.
Drink responsibly. Not for sale to persons under 18 or recommended to pregnant women. This advert is FDA approved.
Introducing the Kensington Heights at Airport City, Kumasi, the largest modern smart city in West Africa. The Kensington Heights is your bridge to the skies, where you can access direct flights to international destinations, including the USA, UK, and Europe. Imagine a world where convenience, comfort, and investment opportunities converge seamlessly. The Kensington Heights offers an incredible opportunity for families, investors, and businesses worldwide. Enjoy spacious and beautifully designed luxury suites, executive suites, 1-bedroom apartments, and 2- and 3-bedroom penthouses, complete with world-class amenities and easy access to the new Kumasi International Airport. All units are on sale now, starting at $69,950. Be a part of the future of Kumasi and reserve your property today. For more information, visit our websites www.thekensingtonheights.com or www.airportcity.
And thank you very much for staying with us here on PM Express. My name is Evans Mensah, and I'm here with Evans Yamson, Dr. Ishmael Evans Yamson, talking about Ghana. And Doc, I want to quote something from your book, and this book is Africa in Search of Prosperity. And I was flipping through the pages, and something just caught my attention, so I want to read it. And here we are talking about democracy, culture, and growth. And you say, the international community has acclaimed African countries that have become democratic, held elections, provided universal adult suffrage, elected parliaments, and set up relevant democratic institutions. And clearly, these are developments in the right direction because they provide Africans with the right to elect their leaders. But here's the focus. However, in a continent with such high levels of illiteracy and poverty, the competition for the right to govern has not often been fought on issues, but on access to money. The poor do not have access to political power. And by the way, this is this is something Dr. Yamson wrote in April 2006. It sounds so much like something you wrote yesterday.
17 years ago.
17 years ago. How does it relate to today's reality?
Exactly the same situation. the poor don't have access to political power. They make no impact on the decisions that politicians take. Evans, how many times I come from a village, and I ask them all the time, has your MP been here recently? No. So the decisions they take are not influenced by the greater population of our people. They are not. The decisions they are taking, and you go to UK, and there's an issue, they'll go to their constituency and have meetings and have debates, and they will come back to Parliament and they will say, my constituents. Here, it's not about my constituents, it's about my party. It's what my party says, not what my constituents who brought me here want me to do. In fact, one of them said to me, my party is not in power. How can I bring development? Do you understand that? Okay. So until your party is in government, your people will never see development. So do the poor have access to political power? Do they influence political thinking? No. And that situation has worsened today, because today, those who go to Parliament, those who become our president, those who become our vice president, those who become our, whatever, are those people who are very deep pockets. And it is dangerous. Because those monies that they get, you ask the question, why do those people get the money in the first place to fund the politicians? Do we find out? And there are people in this country who are more powerful than presidents, right? Because they fund them. And it's sad, because democracy by the people, for the people, of the people was not designed that way. It was designed to serve the interests of the people. So,
whose interest is democracy serving now in Ghana?
In Ghana, the political parties, the people in Parliament. I mean, you go to the village. The party chairman in the village is more powerful than anybody else, right? The assemblyman. You go to the district executive drives a V8. The district chief executive. Did you hear the Zambian president recently? He says, why? Can you afford $300,000 to buy that car yourself? And if you can't, why should the state take so much money to buy it for you to drive it? In any case, when you drive in, what value do you create for your people? Zero.
And I wonder, considering how long it's been since you wrote this,
yes,
what emotions run through you when I read it to you again? Today's date is what, the 6th of November
2023.
Exactly. And it sounds as if you wrote it yesterday, which means that nothing has changed, possibly.
It's been worse.
What sort of emotions go through you?
Evans, I can tell you that I've been worried about this country and its leadership for many years. For many, many years. Because I believe strongly that unless we have the right leadership, this country will make no progress whatsoever. It doesn't matter. Look, Nkrumah was in office for 9 years. But you can't count how many things he did for this country. We are still driving on the same motorway he built. We can't even repair it. Go and see the cracks on the motorway. I drove to Takoradi this weekend. By the time I came back, I nearly called you to say I can't have the interview because I'm broken.
Yeah.
How many years now? And Singapore, when we talk about Singapore, it's one man. Today we talk about Rwanda, it's one man. Kagame, one man. We talk about Malaysia, one man. We talk, it's the individual leader and his vision and determination and his values and his behaviors that create countries.
Our values intact though, as a country, the values that you grew up on, hard work, integrity, etc. Are they still intact now?
No, but I think we've lost all the integrity that all of us were brought up with. And most of the politicians came up were brought up in the same way. I went to Apam Secondary School. Our motto is character. Obrapa, no you kwan. Obrapa, obrapa pa ebobon will determine who you are, right? So, and I always say to people, and it's become my habit. When presidents are elected, I write to them, think about the legacy you will leave behind. When you leave this place, how do you want to be remembered? How? Do you want to be remembered as the man who came to collapse Ghana's economy? Or you want to be remembered as the man or woman who came to create a Singapore? We all get up and go to Dubai. And I get angry. Why can't we create a better country like Dubai in this country? What has Dubai got? Sand. They don't even have oil, sand. But look at where they are today. Look at the city they are trying to build now. And Saudi Arabia is challenging, Dubai. Little place. No resources whatsoever. It took one man and his brain to create that country. So leadership is important. And I will say it and say it and say it for as long as I live. Go to our churches. It's even worse. Those who are supposed to preach values is worse. So the whole fabric of this country has crumbled. Our value system have gone. Our behaviors. Why? We now worship politicians. We worship parliamentarians. MP Abba. Everybody is going to see the MP. Why? The man is supposed to serve you. Why are you running to his house? To do what?
So it begs the question, is it the fault of the politician that the people have created these monsters? Because they vote for them.
Yes.
They feed their egos.
Yes.
They demand the monies and they also have to go and look for it. So how guilty are the electorate, the citizens in this moral decadence?
No, but the citizens, and they don't feel guilty at all. They think that they gave you the power and you paid them, right? Unfortunately, the voters think that when they take the money and they vote, the man will go and serve their interest. What they don't realize is that they mortgage their right to accountability the moment the man has given you money and you have taken it to vote for him. You sold your right. He paid for it. Why should he come back to you? He doesn't have anything to do with you anymore. And that's what happens. Because you agreed to take 2,000 cedis to vote for the man. The man is going to borrow the money or whatever means he used to get the money. He brought it to you, took it, you gave him your vote. He's now voted. He's gone. He's now got his V8. He's getting his MP's common fund, his share. He's taking it. He's taking less gratia. He's happy. What do you think? The next thing he's thinking about is build a house, right? For himself. So when you are passing, say MP's house. He's not thinking about you and your welfare. Meanwhile, your house is crumbling because it's this sandwich house. No bricks, nothing, no iron rod. It's coming down with the rain. No, the whole village drainage is everywhere. So they don't feel guilty. It is only when they begin to feel the impact and the pinch of what's going on. I go to my village today and I am filled with sadness because they will all come and you give somebody 10 cedis. And he's thanking you from morning till evening.
The leaders we currently have, they are all products of the society.
Sure.
How do we create the leaders we need for the future? The kind of leaders you've talked about, the Singaporean leader, the Lee Kuan Yew.
Evans, I've heard this many times. In fact, one of the politicians said to me, the whole Ghana is corrupt. And we are part of the corrupt system. I say no. Because, you see, when you take over of that office, you swear an oath. You swear an oath to the people. you do good to all manner of people. Good, though. You didn't say you do bad to the people. So I am expecting the leaders of the future. As for the past, is history. We can forget about it. But at least we should be concerned about going forward from now. What kind of leaders do we want? Do we need in this country? We don't need leaders who are corrupt. We don't need leaders who are selfish, who just look after their family and friends and political parties and the rest of it. We don't need those leaders. We don't need leaders who can't look forward, think forward, have vision of the country and how they want to create it. Nkrumah said, I want to create a country where nobody has a need, basic needs of life. That was his vision. And yesterday in the car, I was telling my son and my daughter-in-law, I said, look at all the oil palm plantations, all the roads that he built, the schools, the colleges, the hospitals. Ghana was one big country erupting. And I remember every afternoon, they used to play on Radio Ghana, Work and Happiness. 12 o'clock, 12:30. That's the music that Radio Ghana will play. Work and happiness. Every day. The man didn't think about it. When Nkrumah died, he didn't have a chicken coop. Why can't we have leaders today who say, I will die a poor man, but I will create a big, prosperous country? Why? Is it beyond us? It shouldn't be. Because we have all these resources. Recently, there was an agreement that was being signed. I don't know what was it lithium or something? And I say, what? We've made mistakes in the past. Should we make mistakes again today? Why?
Dr. Yamson, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that's been my guest tonight on PM Express, Dr. Ishmael Yamson, my guest tonight. A lot to chew on, food for thought indeed, for myself and for you. As you approach next year to cast your ballot, it says the responsibility is really in your hands. The destiny is in your own hands. Enjoy the rest of your evening. My name is Evans Mensah.